Hello, and welcome to the Reactions COVID-19 podcast. I'm London editor Mark Richardson, and today we're joined by new QBE Re Managing Director Stephen Postlewhite. I started by asking where COVID-19 will have the biggest impact on the reinsurance sector, but for his full thoughts, read the Reactions May edition, which will be available to view at reactionsnet.com.
The biggest impact is actually going to be on the asset side of the balance sheet, and then prolonged recession. That's quite clear, really. That half of that has already happened, and then the prolonged recession, we'll see just how long it takes to get out of it. But to my mind, this is probably worse than the global financial crisis of 2008. The scope and scale of it is truly global, truly deep in terms of the impact on businesses of all types. But it's the high street and the small businesses that are going to suffer the most, I think. And doubtless it's going to have an effect on the economy for years to come, and that will rebound into insurance. It's inevitable. Although I guess insurance proved reasonably resilient through the global financial crisis, and I think it will remain reasonably resilient through this crisis. I think so long as certain political risks don't crystallise. But that's going to be the most profound issue, and recovery of asset values, I guess, is going to take time. And that means we're going to see a lot of impaired balance sheets, both outside and inside the insurance sector, which to my mind means that you need to do something along the lines that QBE Group have already done, which is you need to consider whether you need to raise capital, whether you need to do that for regulatory / rating agency purposes, which isn't the reason why I think QBE decided to do it. I think QBE decided to do it because we wanted to make sure that we could continue to service our clients globally, with the same level of solvency that we had before the crisis, and so that they could be just as secure. We can continue to be consistent in how we provide capacity, and I think that's a really, really strong message for our clients. I think elsewhere we won't see that. There'll be others that struggle to actually raise the kind of capital that we've raised, shore up their balance sheets. And I think what that means most profoundly over the next 6 months for reinsurance is that the cost of risk has gone up. The cost of risk transfer, if you're effectively shrinking the global reinsurance capacity, which is inevitable, I think, it means that you have to charge more for what is a finite resource. It hasn't been very finite over the last 5, 6, 7 years, and has driven major softening of the market, which we were starting to see turn. But I can't see why it wouldn't now drive a significant increase in the price of risk transfer. As I'm sure you're aware, Mark, we've been lagging on the reinsurance side. We've been lagging both the primary market and the retro market in terms of rate increase and ability to get back to parity in terms of risk pricing. And to my mind, that paradigm's changed now, and I think as we go into 1/6, which is mainly a Florida renewal, and already look like it should be taking a reasonable price increase. I think the shrinkage of capacity is going to mean that's beyond what we were initially expecting by some margin, I would guess.
Yeah, and operationally speaking as well, those mid-year renewals, what impact can we expect to see there?
One thing is, if renewals do get, in terms of negotiation, get really tough, that's more difficult to do, I think, across the kind of VC or a Teams meeting like this, mainly because you have quite a number of participants, and it's just difficult for everybody to get their point across in the same way as they would face to face. But I think that will happen. It just may be a little bit more difficult. And then I guess wording changes and going through those, if there's a whole plethora of those, which I don't think there will be at 1/6. Essentially the exposures are well understood. But if there were, that would also potentially be somewhat challenging in terms of delaying the process a little bit. But what we've seen today actually is that many have actually gone early and got the submission information and the basic broking information out as early as they possibly can, and that's very helpful, and certainly in advance of timing wise, in advance of what we've seen in prior years. So so that's a good thing. I think that will continue into 1/7s as well.